You're listening to the Zine Collector Podcast Episode 3, Selling Zines Online Part 2, Etsy. Hello Zine friends, welcome back to the Zine Collector, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm your host Jaime Nyx, and the Zine Collector is where I talk about zines and zine-related things. So I'd like to get right into it basically because I'm not sure how long this episode is going to go now that I'm starting it. And I don't want it to be a monster episode. So I'll get right into notes and announcements. And first off, I'd really like to thank everyone for being really patient with me. Oops, excuse me, while I hit my microphone arm. Episode 12 was supposed to go up a little while ago, a week and some back, but life kept getting in the way, things happened, so on and so forth. Also, this topic, which I originally was going to make into one long podcast, ended up so that it made more sense to break it up into 3 podcasts. And the more research I did on the first section made me realize that the first section in and of itself should be broken up into 5 for easier listening, easier on your brain and mine, that sort of thing. So yes, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then with other life stuff happening, I don't like being late. If you have read the blog or have been listening to this for a while, I don't like going off schedule. I like to be consistent. So yes, believe me when I say that this was about the earliest I could get back into it. And oh goodness, so it's been a little bit woo. Yes, it's been a little bit woo with International Zine Month happening last month. Things were really intense, good. Things were great. I had a lot of fun, but they were very intense, and so I'm just catching up on various things, including the podcast, as we begin the month of August. And another reason that I decided to break this up into more episodes rather than one bigger one is that I actually asked people on Patreon, here on the podcast, on the blog, that sort of all the places, and everyone who got back to me said unanimously that they preferred shorter episodes, things broken up, and I totally get that, and I agree with that, absolutely. And I hope you enjoy it in this format because shorter episodes are definitely easier on me as well. So you may be wondering, okay, so you have a long series coming up. Why are we getting a podcast on Monday? Well, because I'm me. I don't really have a firm as such answer for that. But basically it ended up that usually I post every other Wednesday, and then this topic came up, and I realized that I didn't want, when I broke it down into all of its components, I didn't want to make people wait a fortnight between each episode. I didn't originally intend on posting so out of schedule. I thought maybe every Wednesday, but then I thought, no, you know what? It lined up that this first section, and it ended up being 5 episodes long. And so I thought, why not do a Monday through Friday? Just get all the information out there and then maybe have a week or 2 weeks break between the next section. And I mean, that's obviously up to whether you want me to continue with this series or not, but I guess we'll find out. So I'm probably talking way too long about something that you'd rather me just get to the topic. But yes, that's what my thinking has been. And I just thought, 5 episodes, Monday through Friday. I wouldn't mind a little bit of something different because this week is my birthday week. I feel a bit strange actually mentioning it, so I have to cut that out in the editing. So yeah, I thought something different, so on and so forth. So let's get to the actual topic at hand. Or rather, I won't get ahead of myself and I will talk about zine events happening around the world first. I have 3 events to mention in this episode, and they are the Swindon Zine Fest happening August 18th in Swindon in the UK, the Street Cat Zine Fest happening on August 24th in Lancaster, Ohio, and also Andrew, an organizer from the Bloomington Zine Fest, contacted me. The Bloomington, Indiana Zine Fest will be happening on October 20th. Registration closes on September 30th, so be sure to check out the links in the description and get those registrations in. And as always, there are plenty more zine events where that came from. Be sure to check out @fanzines on Facebook and Twitter to get a direct line on zine events happening around the world, and to make sure that your zine event is listed on the World Zine Event calendar. In the last episode, I talked a bit about the Etsy fee changes that went into effect a few weeks ago. I wasn't and am still not really happy with such a big and successful company charging more in the name of offering subscription services, which we as sellers have to pay for anyway, all in the name of getting more customers through. That being said, I won't get into it again. You can always listen to episode 12 if you want to hear what I sound like when I actually get a bit feisty about something. The fee rise inspired me to move up my plans for a comparison series. I had thought that at some point I'd want to do maybe not a guide as such, but just, like I said, a comparison series for where can you sell your zines online, what place may be best for you, looking at all of the possibilities. Maybe not all of the possibilities. I'm sure there are some I've missed, but this week will be looking at the main ones that are basically main, but only in my view. There might be other ones, some big ones that I've missed or otherwise looked over. But yes, so I will be comparing 5 marketplaces. Because I dug into Etsy last episode, I thought it only fair to start the comparison series with Etsy. But before I dig in again, I want to chat a little bit about how I'm looking at these options and how I'm comparing things. When I started doing research for this series and looking at the online options for selling, I decided to first break everything down to 3 categories: marketplaces, semi-self-hosted, and fully self-hosted. This week I'll be looking just at the marketplaces. In the last episode I talked about how when it comes to selling, where you choose to sell will in general come down to an issue of time versus money. The marketplace options of those 3, the marketplace option is, again, generally along the lines of spending more money in the form of fees and such in exchange for saving time. Time being the time you'd spend setting up a shop, and as well as the time that you would spend bringing traffic into your shop. When it comes down to it, there are a lot of reasons why you may prefer to choose a marketplace over semi-self-hosted or fully self-hosted. It may be that you just want a place to put up your listings and have them there. It may be you're not interested in HTML and SSL certificates and you don't want to learn that sort of thing, and no judgments here if that's how you feel. And maybe it could be on the design front. Maybe you don't want 260 different shades of pink to wade through when deciding the background color for your shop front. Maybe, like I said, maybe you just want to be able to list the things for sale in a place and leave it at that. That's not to say that some of the options I'm going to be talking about this week don't have customization possibilities for your shop. That's just to say that you may want to choose a marketplace so you don't have to think about those sorts of things. When I started back in 2011, Etsy provided an easy to set up place to sell things. I didn't know anything about selling anything online. I basically just wanted to sell my journals, sell the greeting cards I was making at the time, and start selling some of my zines as well. So for the interest of full disclosure, I have the most experience with Etsy. While researching the series, I signed up to the various places and I had a look around and I, poked this and checked out that. But Etsy is actually the only shop where I have listed and sold zines. What I'm hoping to do with this series is to lay out the various options and give my thoughts for whatever they're worth on each option. With this series, I do really hope that laying it all out in the way I have will help you make your decision, whether you are looking at starting your very first shop or just wanting to look at other options from wherever you may be selling your zines right now. With each shop option, I am looking at 1, how many listings pop up when you search the word zine in the marketplace. And it is the word zine because there are some places where the number of listings that pop up change according to whether you put zine or zines in the search bar. 2, the fees, which will be in Australian dollars unless I say otherwise. 3, how much you make after the fees. On a $7 zine, that costs $3 to ship. Those are just numbers I have picked out for ease of use, basically. 4, how easy is it to start a shop on the respective site? Did I call that 3 or 4? That was 4. 5, my various notes, and 6, my consensus on the site itself. Also keep in mind that I am human, so if something interests you and you think that might be a place you want to have a shop, double check things, investigate the features that are important to you. There may be things I missed, there may be things that are important to you that I don't focus on, or things that aren't so important to you that I do focus on. And always remember that things change over time. Whether you're watching or listening to this a week from now, a year from now, anything like that, make sure you are clear on the current terms of wherever you are signing up because they can and do change. So let's talk about Etsy again. For this podcast, I'll be talking about Etsy.com, the actual marketplace. Etsy does offer Etsy Pattern, but Pattern actually falls under the semi-self-hosted category. When you search the word zine on Etsy, you get 22,555 results as of today. That number is by far the highest number of results for any of the marketplace options. And that result doesn't change whether you use Zine or Zines. You really can't argue with Etsy's traffic, and that makes it a really good source for organic, aka by chance, by search result sales. Where Etsy becomes a bit contentious is when it comes to the fees. So if you did listen to the last episode, you'll have to bear with me for a little bit of repetition in regards to those fees. We start off with the listing fee, which is 20 cents USD or about 27 cents Australian dollars. You pay this fee whenever you list an item or whenever you relist an item that has been sold out. If your item doesn't sell, you pay to renew your item listing every 4 months. Next up is the 5% transaction fee, which is calculated on the total of the item plus the shipping. After that, there are also payment processing fees that are based on location. Fun fact, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand are the 3 lucky countries that have different fees for domestic shipping and international shipping. In Australia, it'll cost you 3% and 25 cents Australian for domestic orders, and 4% and 25 Australian cents for international orders. There's also the VAT, aka the value added tax. This can come to play depending on your business status and your location. In Australia, we have GST, the goods and services tax, that runs at 10%. But again, that does depend on your business status and how much you make annually. Now, I don't want to be quoted on an exact amount, but there is a threshold in Australia at which point you do have to, as a business, apply for GST. But below that, no worries. The last fee is a 2.5% currency conversion fee, but it's kind of an optional fee because it only comes into play if your bank account currency and your shop currency are different. If I have an Australian dollar bank account, but I charge USD on my site, then I'll be needing to pay that 2.5%, but only if they're different. There are also optional subscription fees as well. Advertising and promoted listings as you so choose. There's also the $10 USD a month to be changed to $20 USD per month starting in January 2019, which will get you additional selling tools. What those are, I'm not sure. 15 listing credits per month, which comes to a value of $3 USD, $5 USD worth of promo listing credits, and a few other features. The thing that annoyed me about these credits is that they don't roll over. If you only use 7 free listings out of your 15 free listings, then 8 free listings will just disappear. They do not roll over. It's a small thing, but I guess, if I'm being honest with myself, I am fine with finding reasons to be annoyed with Etsy, as petty as that may make me. So I've just thrown quite a few figures at you. Let's work with an actual example to see what you take home after all of these fees. And this is assuming that you are working with a bank account and shop that have the same currency. So I'm not including the 2.5% currency conversion fee. And I'm also assuming that you haven't signed up for any of the subscriptions, as they are optional. So you have a $7 zine that costs $3 to ship, a total of $10 for the lot. What do you take home afterwards? Out of the $10 sale, you subtract $3 for the shipping, 27 cents for the listing fee, 50 cents for the transaction fee, and the processing fee for sending domestic orders is 55 cents, and the processing fee for sending international orders is 65 cents. After that, you are left with $5.68 if you've sent the zine domestically, or $5.58 if you've sent the zine internationally. This does change slightly if you have, say, 10 copies of your zine in one listing. Obviously, with each individual sale, because you have 10 copies on the one listing, you're not going to have that 27-cent listing fee with each and every single zine. However, one thing that I haven't included, because it can vary so much, is the cost of actually making the zine, materials, etc. Starting a shop on Etsy is actually very easy. On the main page, you click Sell on Etsy on the top right, register, and away you go. If you already have an account as a buyer, then that's one less step for you to do. All shops have a standard look, but if you want a bit of personal flair, you can take the extra time to make a shop banner and a shop icon, as well as pick out certain items from amongst your listings to feature at the top of your shop page. This can be a great way to feature, say, bundles or other buy more for less sort of deals at the top of your page, which is pretty much what I do. So what do I think about Etsy? Etsy is a very well-known name that has a very clean look to the website, and it's known for handmade, which can be very good for helping you to sell your zines. The shop manager for all the behind-the-scenes stuff does really well, I think, with the everything in one place aspect. Navigating it isn't always as clear-cut as you might like it to be, but it's fairly easy overall to understand. But again, I do have the bias that I have been using Etsy for a long time, and so I'm not 100% sure how the small annoyances of somewhat unclear navigation might be to someone who's using it for the first time. There aren't a lot of options to make your shop front truly unique on Etsy. They all have the same basic look and setup, but the things that are available are nice. Your shop banner, your shop icon, so on and so forth. Etsy also makes it really easy. This is something they integrated a year or two back, maybe longer, I'm not sure. But they make it very easy with drag and drop to arrange your listings as you'd like them to be seen. This is something that I've really enjoyed because I've liked to keep my listings for each zine together instead of a randomly generated order of things. Like all my Don't Call Me cupcakes are featured together, all of my Dear Anonymous are featured together. It just makes it easier for people to get all of one thing should they want to. With Etsy, the massive annoyance for me, the fees are annoying, but the big one is how they calculate shipping. And I've talked/complained about this before, so apologies for any repeated information. But the thing is, I would actually be a bit more forgiving of Etsy when it comes to the fees if I was offered the option of weight-based shipping. The way they have it set up now is that the first item somebody puts in their cart from your shop has a certain shipping fee, which you set up. Our $7 zine costs $3 to ship. Easy. However, when someone adds some additional items from your shop, each additional item costs a set amount above what the first shipping amount. So, for example, it costs us $3 to send our $7 zine, and each additional item will add, say, 50 cents onto that shipping costs. Sounds easy, sounds fair and reasonable, except that it doesn't work. It goes so badly. That way of doing things is never accurate for me. Never. I'm either charging the customer too much or I am going out of pocket for shipping. No matter how it comes down, it means messaging with customers when they don't really need to be messaged if they just had weight-based shipping. And if you're wondering, if you're a little bit confused, what I'm talking about is weight-based shipping would be so much easier for me because say I have my Don't Call Me cupcake. It's $5 zine, $3 to ship. However, it is 49 grams. At 51 grams, shipping goes from $3 to $9. So you think, okay, so each additional item costs $6 more to ship. Except what if somebody wanted 3 zines? And suddenly, if they want 3 zines, they're being charged $3 to ship the first one and then an additional $6 per each additional, which comes to $15, which is $6 above what they need to pay. And I'm realizing that I'm spitting out a lot of numbers and I apologize. But yes, it's my big annoyance. If I could just calculate based on weight, life would be easier and I wouldn't have to bother customers so much about shipping costs or spend additional money making custom listings for people. Because Etsy wins in the end, even with custom listings, because you have to pay for those still. Now that I've had my little rant, I fully admit that is my personal bugbear, and that it might not be as annoying for other people. See, I'm wound up, and I'm messing up my words. Woo, great example. Simply put, my consensus for Etsy is that fees stink and the shipping calculator stinks. But on the other side of the same coin, you cannot deny over 22,000 zine listings. Etsy has been a great option for people over the years, and with that kind of traffic, it's absolutely worth your consideration. Just be absolutely clear on all of the fees and how they are going to affect you. If you've made it all the way through this podcast, thank you so much for sticking with it. I've packed a lot of information in, and I know that can be a bit overwhelming. I've actually been thinking that at the end of this whole series, I might put all of the information into a PDF, because I know, for me at least, it's nice to listen and listen to things and get my mind going, but to actually see things, like I'm a visual person, seeing it on paper makes it a little bit easier. So if you would be interested in me taking all the Etsy information and all the information on all the other options to come, please let me know. Do you have an Etsy shop? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Have you considered changing since the fee rise, or have you already changed to a different shop because of the fee rise? How are things affecting you or not affecting you? I would love to read/hear your Etsy tales. Let me and others know about what's going on in your shopfront life in the comments. I'd love to get a discussion going about the positives and negatives of all the shopfronts that I am going to explore this week. This is the first episode of a week-long podcast run, if I hadn't made that clear already. So keep an eye out for the next part tomorrow, where I take a look at selling zines on eBay. Thank you again for listening, zine friends. That's where I will call it a day for today. Remember that everything I say is just my opinion. There are no gatekeepers in the zine-verse, nor should there be. Though I do believe in the last episode I said there are no gatekeepers in the universe, and that's maybe dreaming on my part. Goodness. Links to everything I've talked about are in the description, so be sure to check that out. And also be sure to stop by seegreenzines.com, where I review zines every Thursday and Friday. I am very swiftly approaching my 300th zine review, so I am open to suggestions on what to do for that, how to celebrate. The music for this podcast, Spanish Summer by Audionautics, is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution license. Wow. Tongue twisters that aren't meant to be tongue twisters. So that is it for me today, zine friends. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in for this odd Monday episode. I will wish you all of the best for your day to come. Until next time, make some zines, have some fun, and have a wonderful day. Mwah! How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I don't know the rest of that one, but I really think I should. Boom.